We got a new episode here of the Odds and End Zones podcast on the BGN Radio Podcast Network. I'm your host, Shamus Clancy, the deputy sports editor of PhillyVoice.com, and I am joined by my guy, Zo. My man, what's up?
What's up, bro? Happy.
You over baseball with the unvaccinated Phillies going to Toronto?
Gonna be a very interesting weekend, especially if they. What do they have? They have one more against the Nationals today, right?
Yeah, we're recording this Thursday morning, July 7th,
yes.
So you're probably listening to this late Thursday, Friday.
So tonight, I hate using must win in July for baseball, but this is kind of a must win because you probably might not win another game until next week.
Yeah, they're dropping those Toronto games. I think maybe their best player who's not playing is I would guess. As we said.
A very strong guess.
Educated guess is not vaccinated. I don't know who else on the team is not. I think baseball is a sport that probably gears a little to players that would be unvaccinated, if I'm saying that relatively politely.
Right. I think we faced the same issue again, like literally 3 months ago now. With the Sixers, and obviously it was different because Matisse was he's more rotation than he is best player, but he also, for a team that was at the time already short rotation players, it was kind of disastrous. So I cannot imagine what this lineup is going to look like without potentially 7 or 8 guys who actually play.
You're just in football mode now because of that, right?
Yeah, like I'm so training camp pill right now.
Week 0 college football is next month.
Yeah.
That's wild to say.
I can't believe it, dude. And we also
I'm looking at the matchups. See, we got Saturday, August 27th. Wild. Marquee games look to be Nebraska Northwestern. Two of the 37 teams in the Big Ten are squaring up 12:30 on Fox, so that should be fun. Got a 10:30 Vanderbilt Hawaii game for you degenerates staying up to 1 o'clock to live bet Hawaii. That could be entertaining.
Right. For all of us degens, we'll have a good show that week to give all of our degens some love.
Yeah, and then next week, I guess week 1, that's week 0, is Thursday night. There is a Penn State Purdue matchup for all the Penn State Lloyds in our listenership and friends out there.
That's when it gets a little serious after that weekend, because then once you get through week 0, and then Labor Day weekend hits, and then right after that you get into like your
NFL,
your Peach Kickoff Classics and NFL's, your NFL kickoffs, and then you get into your Georgia and Oregon matchup.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. 3:30 Saturday, September 3rd. 2 games, marquee games. You got to double up on TVs. If you only have one TV in your living room, save up some cash and go buy one before week.
Amazon Prime Day is coming up. They'll do a deal on it.
Cincinnati, Arkansas at 3:30 on ESPN, and then the Chick-fil-A kickoff game, Oregon, Georgia at 3:30 too.
That's that is. If you have anything to do that day, clear your schedule. Those are 2 games that will, without a doubt, put you right back into not only college football mode, but football mode in general. It's going to be a lot of good games. Georgia is the reigning national champion. They lost a lot of guys on that defense to the NFL. We have 2 of them, ironically. But they're bringing back still a ton of guys. They're going to be very, very good again. Oregon's Oregon. They should shock a couple of people. They lost a bunch of guys to the draft as well, and then in the other game, man, I like Arkansas. They're gonna surprise some folks. It's gonna be really, really action packed. I'm excited. I can't wait.
We got Notre Dame, Ohio State for all my South Philly Lloyds out there,
bro. And we have a couple of 17th and Girard Warriors on the Buckeye team. So
we do.
That'll be fun. One of which is actually probably going to be their number.
McCord's not starting, is he?
Probably not. No.
Yeah. So
But
this
like,
is
this
his
is like,
sophomore season.
yeah, and then and this is also CJ Stroud's last. Like CJ Stroud is going to the league.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot
So,
CJ
like,
Stroud, obviously. Yeah.
so like he's doing himself a great service and just staying in the system because next year is basically his year.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If I was him, I wouldn't freak out over transfer or anything
No,
crazy like that. I
no
think
way.
you get 2 solid years as starter, and you go to the league, and you're
Right.
fine.
That's it. Look at the tape that teams review anyway. They really only look at what sophomore and junior year look like, or junior and senior year anyway. So like you're not doing yourself any disservice. Also, with the way stuff is now, everything's on tape. I mean, they tape practices and spring games, so everybody you're gonna get looked at by everybody.
People are looking at your 7-on-7 stuff at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Like they pick and prod, and like these scouts go through literally everything. It's nuts.
I'm trying to pull up some lines on DraftKings. Not affiliated with DraftKings, potentially could be in the future.
Potentially could be in the
Not
future.
saying anything.
We're
Looking at
available.
some college football futures. Ohio State plus 320. Alabama's plus 180. That's just like, I guess, like if you're throwing $100 on there, you could do worse.
That's right.
But
You
in
can
terms of
do a lot worse. Yeah.
USC plus 3,000 is a tempting one for myself, I would say.
Yeah. They are
out of the non, I would consider the top 3 pretty easily: Bama, Ohio State, and Georgia.
That's fair. Yep.
And then you have Clemson, I guess,
Yep.
depending on how the quarterback looks this year.
Yeah.
Who was, it seemed more touted than even Lawrence when he came to the school. USC plus 3,000, weaker conference, which should help them too. I don't know about their out of conference schedule, but that should lead them to stack some wins. And if USC is undefeated, it's really hard to keep that team out of the postseason.
I agree. And another thing, I'll just give you another heads up, or another note on them. They also are, their thing, I think, has always been consistency. They've had talent these past couple of years. Drake London and a couple other skill guys that definitely bring the heat. But I think this year they got a good quarterback that everybody loves, and they have a couple of good skill guys who's turning on offense. In college football, you just said it, but in college football, really, it's less about like how people view you and more about your schedule.
Yeah.
So, if they go and reel off 1 or 2 big non-conference wins and then go undefeated in the conference, they're probably right on the doorstep of a playoff berth. Like that, people respect them that much because of the name. It's USC. You get a 10-0 USC team the first week that the playoff rankings come out. It's going to get a lot of love just because of the name.
Tough luck for the Temple Owls, North Philadelphia zone. Over under is set at 2.5 wins. I know this isn't a college football pod, but it's fun just to talk. We'll probably do a legit college football preview in August.
100%. 100%.
But Temple's under 2.5 wins is plus 120. That's probably good value. And then I like Miami over 8.5 is plus 100. I like that.
Yep.
Anything else catching my eye? California specials, ULM specials. Yeah. Michigan under 9.5 plus 105. I like that.
Yeah. I think some people are expecting a step back from them. I don't know. I can kind of see. I don't know. Hardball teams do take that weird step back. We saw it with the Niners too. His teams like. I feel like sometimes he's that guy. I feel like his teams just tune him out sometimes. Like they get to the point where they.
I wonder why.
Right. Who's got it better than us? Right. It's weird. It's weird. It's not weird that it's weird, but he is definitely that guy. He's the consummate Doc Rivers ilk. Like his teams.
Yeah, it's a sad comparison, but it's true.
Yeah. And his teams always they have the same issue. Their teams always tune them out, but for some reason everybody looks at them and says, "Oh, they're the guy that can write the ship for us." And it's like, okay.
What was I going to say? I don't know. What else are you thinking? Baker. That's what I wanted to say.
Yes, that was our next.
I think that's a decent value for Carolina in terms of the trade. They've extrapolated so much trade capital, draft capital, I should say, on these three, on Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, and Matt Corral. They've used a second-round pick, a third rounder, 2 fourth rounders, a fifth rounder, and 6th rounder to stack the roster with that crew.
I can't hate
great.
it. Not great.
I will say that the Baker trade looks really good value-wise in comparison to the trade we saw with Carson Wentz. Not to just keep piling on Carson, but more so about Washington's evaluation of him and just their mediocrity.
I would agree.
You think he's week 1 starter? Does he have enough time to learn the playbook?
I know they said that it's going to be a training camp battle, but I think he's got to be week 1 starter.
There's no such thing as training camp battles anymore.
Yes.
Like in terms of quarter, like maybe at some of the bottom of the roster stuff, but the idea of it's 2006, we're signing 2 mid guys and they're going to battle out in camp, that just doesn't exist anymore.
Thank you for saying that, because I know there's a lot of smart people who watch football and who know what coach speak
us
is,
obviously.
Us obviously. Dang. But like, they wouldn't give up the capital they gave up and trade for a guy just to say, oh, he's coming in to fight for the spot. You just go sign a schmuck off the street for that. I think that's silly. He's obviously going to be the week 1 starter. You're not trading for him to come in and and light a fire under Sam Darnold. Like, he's your guy. This has been the worst kept secret since even before the draft. So like you finally got him because you waited long enough. And then, in 3 weeks, we're going to find out just how rusty or not rusty that he is. I think it honestly is probably more of a testament. The Browns painted themselves in such a weird corner because on one hand, they traded for Deshaun Watson and they did that.
Rough. Some people are saying that's a rough look.
Right. Many are saying that that's a bad look. And in that same vein, you severed the relationship oddly with Baker, but this move now, it's a move you almost had to do, but also it probably tells us that they're going to be able to, or they want to just live with whatever they think the league is going to smack Watson with. Like, that's what I get from it, that they think that it's probably whatever's coming down, they probably already have an idea. It's probably going to be something that they can just live with.
I think it's like a year and it gets put to 8 games. Not that that's exactly what should happen or deserves to happen, but I would bet on he's going to get a year suspension. It's going to get appealed and it's going to go down to 8 games. I just looked up their backup quarterback. Not as disastrous as I thought. Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
That's not bad. And
not that I'm rooting for the success of this franchise in the slightest.
Right, not at all, not in the least bit. I mean, Kevin Stefanski is a prep guy, but like, I do think that they anticipate, like you said, it'll be 1 year from the arbitrator, and then it'll get appealed till to death's door, and then it'll get all the way down to 8 games, and they'll be like, all right, Jacoby Brissett, just let's ride Jacoby for 9 games or whatever, and then it is what it is at that point.
Week 1, Cleveland Browns at Carolina. This league.
You can't write a better story. This league does it again.
NFL is getting more soap opera-y, and I say that as a compliment in comparison to the NBA in terms of the way we're seeing so much player movement the last couple of years.
And I think that
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it at all. And I think, it's becoming more soap opera-y because I think that the NFL players are taking note from their NBA counterparts. Like I think that we talked before about this, that like the NFL has one of the worst player unions because the contracts aren't guaranteed, right? It's terrible. Like, I do think like players talk. I think people say this all the time. Yeah. We've heard people on ESPN say that even across leagues, players talk. Guys are probably like, you speak up and use your voice. I think the players are using their voices. They're saying that what they're unhappy about, what they're happy about, and it's turning into a 24/7 news cycle. I mean, you see the NBA, like it's always in the news because one, player movement, or two, team movement, or et cetera. So I think it's good. I think it's good for the league. I think it's good that there are players who are starting to realize what kind of power they hold. It's nothing but good things.
Yeah. Like Russ says, the movement there. Broncos
Right.
country, let's ride.
Is
Is that the worst video of all time?
Broncos
Like
country. Right.
Russ, like on the field, one of my 2 or 3 favorite players ever. I really wanted the Eagles to trade for him. I thought that would have been wise.
Yeah.
Just obviously didn't come to fruition. But an absolute unqualified dork.
Oh
No
yeah.
doubt.
Yeah.
Has a nice wife, but definitely a dork.
Very nice wife, nice family. The guy looks like he's a great dad. All good things. But undeniable dork. Which plays to probably the reason why so many people do like him, because he is such a dork.
He's not confrontational.
No, like he's not confrontational, and like he's cool enough that when his kids get older, they can tell people, yeah, my dad can throw a football 70 yards from his knees, or like he used to be able to do that. And like,
yeah,
that's who else can do that at a party? Like that's cool.
What NFC West teams do you see making the postseason? If there was a bet on it, I'd love to see the odds on all 4 teams making it.
Yeah, I was gonna say this might be a year where I don't think that. I think we're looking at another year where I'll start with the NFC East because it's gonna help make my point. But I think that I do think the Eagles make a step forward. I do think the Eagles take a step backward, and I think that the Giants they piss us off just enough, and I think that the Wash team, they're just kind of like, we don't know what we get from week to week with them. So I think only one team right now from I think two. So I think 2 teams from the NFC East make the playoffs.
I think Dallas makes the playoffs too.
Yeah, I think they do. They're just too talented not to just make the playoffs. I don't know. Obviously, when they make it, we never pick them and go far because they never do. Shout out to Jimmy Kempski with a great article about that. But I would love to see who picks against all 4 not to make it. That's such a tough division. They are so tough. I think that they're probably. Do you think they're the toughest division in football?
Pretty easily, I think. So, like, just go by NFC East, the bottom 2 teams lacking. NFC North, Bears disaster. NFC West. Last year, I predicted all 4 NFC West teams to make the playoffs. 3 did, in the Rams, 49ers, and Cardinals. Seattle didn't do well. Like I was saying, I'm a Russ believer, so I bet on them making it too. That didn't happen. AFC East, not terrible.
Not terrible.
AFC North, okay, I would say. AFC North would be contender too because you have Pittsburgh's taking a step back. I mean, it's hard to bet against Mike Tomlin, right?
Yeah.
In terms of that, but the quarterback situation is so fickle. And then you have Cleveland, what we kind of discussed. If they have Deshaun, they're probably making the postseason.
Yeah.
And if not, if he's missing 8 games,
right.
We don't know. And then Ravens, I would think, as long as Lamar's there, they're going to be a playoff threat. And then obviously
the Bengals, right?
Bengals made the Super Bowl. AFC South, nothing special. And then I think still the AFC West. I would say.
So I would say I would give you either AFC North or NFC West.
Yeah.
And I would like say that to you, who don't you want to play this year? I don't want to play the Bengals. I believe in them. I don't think it was flash in the pan. Like they won. Their path was very tough, and they showed a ton of guts, and they have a ton of talent, and they went out and got better this summer.
Yeah, improve the line.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to play them. I think obviously the Rams, they're so good, and then they are probably going to be the even more confident than they were last year, which is scary. And I'm looking at it as we're facing them as Eagles fans. I think those 2 you want to steer clear from, and probably I think San Fran. I always hate playing San Fran. I just feel like they're again another tough team. I know they had their stuff with Debo, but I feel like they're another tough team that you feel it after you play them. Like they hit hard, they run fast, they score, and they really beat you up in the trenches. So those are, for me, off the top of my head, like 3 teams that you want to stay away from, or just I'm not looking forward to having to see at all.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Eagles' schedule right now. The 2 toughest games that jump out to me are thankfully home in terms of in the Eagles' case.
Yeah.
Is Green Bay Sunday Night Football Week 12.
Yep.
November 27th. I guess that would be Thanksgiving weekend.
That's Thanksgiving weekend, yeah.
And then Christmas Eve in Dallas, a road game.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles do better in Dallas than they do against Dallas at home.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a weird thing that's been like that over the last half dozen or so years. But those 2 games jumped out at me as the toughest game. So, I mean, if your toughest matchup is coming at home, I think that's a win.
Yeah. And I think that they are recently, for sure, they've shown up for big games. I think Sirianni, for his credit, he's definitely gotten them up for big games. They certainly haven't come out. There's like maybe 1 or 2 times they came out flat. And then I think a lot of times in big games last year, they were just out talented. But I think that, they won't be down for any of those games. I think that they drink the Kool-Aid and they believe in the product, and he's going to have them up ready to go. So we'll see. I think that especially in what's turning out to be, or what could be like the last couple of years of the Rodgers experience, like he's going to be coming out firing on all cylinders.
He's tatted now. He's tatted up.
Yo,
he thinks he's mid.
He's what a strange bird, man. I don't know. That guy is.
It kind of makes sense that his family doesn't like him.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. Actually,
it makes a lot more sense as the years go on. He went full Kyrie Irving with that tattoo.
1,000% full Kyrie, and like I'm talking to my dad about it, and my dad said the same things. Like the more you find out about this dude, the more you realize that maybe his brother and his dad were on something. Like maybe they were the right all along.
And his like relationships in the media seem kind of fake.
Yeah.
Not implying anything, but it seems a little.
Well, he always has that
like an over the top girlfriend.
Yeah. Like his last girlfriend was the stars, moon and waves, type of person, and then this girlfriend eats dirt or something like that. Like it's always like.
And then he had Olivia Munn before that.
Yeah, right. But he can never just have a regular girlfriends. Girlfriend's always over the top. The media has to find out about it, and then he's got to go on the Pat McAfee show and let us know.
Those 2 are BFFs.
Yeah, they're like this, dude.
I can see him. I think Rodgers is definitely a post-career podcast guy.
Oh yeah,
he loves it. I think I think he was really good at Jeopardy. To be frank, as much as we're kind of crapping on him right now. He's definitely going to have some sort of media career, I would think, after it. I mean, he might go fly a little too close to the Joe Rogan zone, which I could definitely see happening, but I think that's a different discussion.
I think it's very close. There's a couple of people I can see making a huge play for him that we won't mention on here, but I think you can deduce where you think Aaron Rodgers will wind up on a podcast with.
Do you think he goes to Barstool? Is that what you're thinking? Yeah. Yeah, it definitely seems like that.
1,000%, dude.
Or DraftKings just gives him a pot or one of those. McAfee did with FanDuel, I guess. Yeah, it's gonna be something like that.
Something crazy like that. Maybe something like what Chris Long had or something like that. Yeah,
I love Chris Long. Is probably my favorite pod.
So good.
It's so good.
I love it. He's a really, really, really cool dude. And then the shout out
future guest of the podcast, a legend.
Him and Bo Allen. We got to get him and Bo Allen on.
Oh, Bo would be great.
They're both retired beer drinkers. So we can get them both on.
Let's get some Kenny's with Bo.
Shout out to our guys. Yeah, we got to talk to them. I'm wearing my Kenny shirt, by the way.
Nice. I almost put that same exact shirt on today.
One of my most comfortable T-shirts.
They are. That Comfort Color brand T-shirt, so good. They dropped off their 4th of July shirt for me. I haven't worn it yet, but
so good.
That's one of the band tees I have is from that label too. And I was like, this is the best quality shirt, especially a little as a huskier fellow. I like the feel.
Right. Exactly.
Any other Eagles takes? Nothing's
Um,
really happened, right?
what is
Miles
really
Sanders, All-Star
happening?
team, nitwit comment.
Right. That comment, the mouse
Like
comment.
not trying to bury him. I get
No,
being excited and wanting to hype up your teammates, but sometimes it's just better to say nothing.
yeah,
I
that's
think we
cool,
can agree
bro.
on
Yeah,
that.
but we get it, but like let's not jinx anything. I
I
know
think
we're
it'd be
gonna get.
different if it was like Kelsey or Lane
Yeah, all
Johnson,
right, that's good,
maybe.
right. Kelsey, Kelsey can
It
say
reminds
whatever
me
he
of
wants.
Vince Young, like the
Right.
backup QB saying "Dream Team." Like this
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
is
right.
like the fifth cog offensively, and
Like,
he's
whoa,
saying
whoa,
that.
let's take it. Let's take it easy, dude. I guess we're gonna do we'll do a training camp prop, but I think my entry heading into training camp, as we are getting very close to it. I am interested in the receiving core. I think it's got a lot of love, rightfully, this summer.
So I think 6 guys make the roster at receiver. I was
Yes,
talking to BLG at training camp. We were both there and kind of trying to figure out who that's going to be. The top 3 I think are locked in.
yeah,
As AJ and Devontae.
and
I
Devontae,
think
yeah,
Zach Pascal is pretty much a lock. That's
yeah.
4. J. Gel no longer at wideout, so I think Rager makes it. I think they want Rager to make it. I think
I think they want
I don't
Rager
think
to
they're
make
going to
it.
kip. I think they're going to cut him.
Yep.
And then you have one of those bottom of the roster guys, whether it's Britton Covey making it as a returner, even though he's not going to really play on offense or whatever it is.
I think that they do want. I feel like Covey is the guy right now. Subject to change, but I feel like he's the guy who they at least want to make it now, probably because he'll just be a full-time returner. I know it's tough to just keep a return on your roster, but also
Yeah,
it also is something that I think that as teams don't like, you want to save your best players' legs. So I think if it's an opportunity to keep a guy who just returns punts and kicks, they'll probably do it.
yeah. Kind of rooting for that. I think that's a fun element that the team has absolutely zero juice in returning the last
Right.
few
Right.
years. And in the
team
post Sproles era, just zero juice.
absolute zero juice. I think that would be a very fun element, very cool thing to do. So I'm moving for it too.
Do Stranger Things talk?
Oh, 100%, dude.
Throw up a spoiler warning. We'll
I was
finish
say,
the
let's
pod
go.
with some.
Spoiler alert.
So
Spoiler
if you
alert.
haven't seen the volume 2 of season 4 of Stranger Things, I would tap out right now. Thank you for listening. Come back and listen when you finish it. But just throwing up another spoiler warning. I'm really anal about spoilers and we talk about like Frank Costanza. I want to go and clean. That's really my
I want to
vibe.
go in
So
fresh. Right.
I want to give people as much leeway as possible that we're going to discuss this. What do you think? I loved it.
I loved it.
People are like, I think just the cycle of talking about media is so played out online where people are like, I can't believe you like this season. I'm like, why? It's not Casablanca. It's a fun teenage horror drama.
Yeah, it's not Grey's Anatomy, dude. Like, what do you want us to say? Like, I thought it was great. I loved it. I was looking for. I had no expectations, and that was great. I never had
summer popcorn TV show.
I always I think that overall it was a perfect way to set up the final stanza.
Yes.
Because this is for the first time where I think we see and feel like so this reminds me of, although I hated it, this reminds me a lot of Endgame. Because
I was thinking Infinity War, Empire Strikes Back ends on a downer before the finale, right?
Yep, because it reminds it just, you get that feeling that this is for the very first time a chance that they actually might lose.
Yeah.
So I think that season 5, although they haven't started shooting it yet, I think season 5 is going to be a lot of craziness. We should expect.
They said I think the writer's room comes back this summer. They said August. I think they're shooting for 2024, which makes sense. I think they said after the first volume of season 4 dropped that they're going to do a time jump, which the way these kids are aging is desperately needed. Hopefully this is like a 3, 4, 5 year time jump, given that, what Millie Bobby Brown's like just turned 18 or whatever. I'm sure Drake is very happy about that.
This is also, so this is where you get into like the the side of like it, that when they did the time jump in it.
Yeah.
So I think it's desperately needed also because just the way that the kids are going to grow. So I think it's perfect to have.
Mike's built like Chet Holmgren in 8th grade.
My
That's how is they put Lucas on the basketball team, and I think he was the lone black student on the basketball team, which was a little like, okay, I get what you're going for, but like one of them has to, like, it's a good archetype, like a guy who was like a nerd and then like was it kind of in the nerd jock to dichotomy. I think that was a good storyline and good character beat there for him, but also like Mike's like power forward shot blocking Paul Reed. Like he's a cross between Paul Reed and Chet Holmgren.
Now he's built like Adam Morrison, right? So like, I think a jump forward to maybe when they're freshmen in college or something like that, or just
because they're like that. They're already that age now, right? It doesn't seem like it, but they are.
It's funny to like a jump forward to their current age, right? Like their current off camera age is probably more apt. They can't be in high school when they restarted. That's the only thing that would upset me. Like you can't have them. You can't do a time jump and have them still in high school. They're not. They're just their voices are done cracking. They're just old now.
What college would Mike go to?
Mike,
he's an SEC guy all the way.
Mike is a huge SEC guy. I can see like the first episode, he's like writing a letter from his dorm at like Tennessee or something like that.
Yeah, because he's thinking like 80s isn't going to be Bama the way it is now. So I'm trying to think the school would have been there. Or like, does he go to the U?
Right.
Mike at the U. He's wearing all that floral stuff that he was wearing.
Yeah, he's like a chill. Yeah,
Mike roomed with Jerome Brown and Michael Irvin at the U.
That would be that would be an awesome time jump. Yeah, because like it would be like 90. So like
because it'd be like he's class of like 90, or I guess, or whatever,
like
right?
Michael Irvin walking around with a gold chain on and glasses, like he's like the hippie flower child at like the University of Florida or something. I think that would
just
be
playing Tom Petty records all day. Rolling one. I think what I was gonna say, I don't know. Steve is like manager of that video store. Dustin's at like Caltech.
Right. Dustin's like he's an IT dude at Caltech. I think Lucas is like
Dustin invents the internet.
Like Lucas is like a walk-on at like Indiana,
Memphis State.
Yeah, he's like Memphis State, like as like a walk-on. But like, yeah, like maybe like there's like it just all. And they also yesterday I read that the Duffer Brothers said that Max is alive, but she's like blind and like she's basically blind and crippled. But she's alive thanks to 11. So I think that it would be cool too if like you had like a thing where Lucas is just like, oh, like I could have went to, I had a full ride from Texas State, but I stayed here because you're blind.
Because you're a girl, yeah.
Yeah, like I think that there's like their story is also weird because they were, obviously pre-high school, just like loved and then broke up, and then like her Billy died, and then like she got weird, and then like she's just like, dude, I don't need any of you guys, but I kind of need you, and he's like, please let me simp for you. Like so, like I think that it's got to end with. It doesn't necessarily have to end with them being in love. Like I don't really care about that, but it's got to end amicably. Like it can't just be like, oh, like, why'd you let me live? Like you should let me like, like that. Like that's where I want that story to go.
I think. What do you think Will goes to school?
I think Will goes to.
I can't really get a good read. Like I don't peg him as like a super small liberal arts college guy.
I was just gonna say. I think that's too small of a brush for him. I think that he's like I think he goes like a Cornell or something.
I like that. He invents like Xbox.
Yeah, because he's like
Yeah, or
smart. He's
something.
really
Yeah, he's a
smart,
smart kid.
and like he's like he like goes to like Cornell. He's like in his dorm room listening to he's listening to like
The Clash still,
some
his brother's Clash records.
and he's just like chilling.
I think he might have. I think he's a guy in college that would maybe pick up on his brother and Argyle's habits.
Yes.
I would say that.
Yes, because he's got to fit in. Yeah,
Yeah.
he got to fit in. He's like, why don't you? Oh yeah, he's like, oh, why don't you look at? Yeah, why don't you look at me like you look at her type stuff? So yeah, like he's like doing whatever he can to get noticed. Yeah.
Do you think he's in love with Mike?
I do.
And I don't think they're like hiding it, like intentionally. They're not really hiding
he
it.
definitely is.
I wonder if that's like a reveal, or they're just hinting at that, and they don't necessarily have the maybe the green light to go forward with that story. But I think that's that was my read.
That's a very good point, and I read some. I read on, I think it was like Stranger Things Reddit.
Yeah,
there was a rumor that they did not get a green light to move forward with that story.
they probably didn't.
And
I mean, you saw what happened when two lesbian cartoon characters hugged in Lightyear.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
So,
and this is like the most popular television show.
Right. The most popular show in the world right now. Yeah. So, but I agree though. I mean, you can even, what was the line?
Like the paintings, he's
right.
He's painting him, dude.
Really
I'm not making fun of him. It seems so pure.
No, it's very blatant, and that's what makes it even weird that they haven't. Well, we know why they haven't. But like, it makes it even weird that storyline hasn't progressed because he's literally painting him. He's like crying when he tells him that 11 will always need you type stuff because he's like he basically wants it to mean that I'll always need you. Like like that you can. If you're a person with feelings, that hurt to see like, how much he hurt. Like, because that's how much he loves Mike. Like, he's like, Mike is like his guy and his North Star. But like, you can obviously tell that like everything that maybe Mike feels for 11, he kind of feels for Mike. But like, dude, yeah, it's they're not hiding it at all.
Going like full English major here, I think that Will's haircut is so interesting in the sense that it makes him look younger than he is.
Yes.
And I think one of the beats that has been is that Will sort of emotionally and maturely, in terms of maturity, kind of stunted after that X amount of time in the Upside Down in the first season. And it's talked about in the way those guys don't necessarily want to play D&D anymore. They want to go chase girls. They want to go on the big adventure, and Will just wants to be a wizard in the basement, which is fine.
It's fine.
In the sense that everyone else grew up when he was stuck, and he's like the way people say like, oh, when you're become famous, you're stuck at that age forever.
Yeah.
The way the age he got when he got into the Upside Down, he's kind of permanently stuck there. And the way, and maybe it's just the actor himself, and it's unrelated, but everyone else looks like they've grown up physically and then like emotionally, character beat wise too, and he has yet to.
Well, it's still so. That's a good point because I also read that the season 5 is going to be a lot about Will and kind of his association to like Vecna and kind of how obviously now we know this whole time it's been Vecna that's been like in his head, but I think we also are going to find out just how long he was down there. Like they say in the show, it says it's a week. Like he was down there for a week, but I think we're going to find out more about what a week actually means. And
time could work differently.
Right. Time could work completely differently. So like he could have came out, like you said, he could have came out and it could have been, oh, you've been gone for a week. But like, it turns out Will was gone for 2 years or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like we were, like I can totally like see his mom being like, yeah, like you were gone for 5 years. Will, like we never thought we'd see you again type stuff. Like, so I'm excited to see how that transpires too.
I think he needs a new cut, though, kind of a restart. I'm thinking like Brian Bosworth mullet in the 80s. I think that could be his move.
I think a cool Brian Bos mullet. I think
it just goes. I could see him just going buzz cut too. I think that would be a benefit too.
You know what? Like buzz cut and like taking boxing classes.
Yeah, because I think he's a little too small to have a buzz cut.
Yeah,
I'm thinking a little too slender. Doesn't like work as well. Maybe hit some weights. It's fine if he doesn't. No, I'm not shaming anyone to working out, obviously.
I would love to see him do all this stuff and then have it be like, oh, it's the only way I can keep him out of my head type stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Like I like that. Just kind of reinventing himself to
yeah,
kind of get away from the pain that the Mike
yep,
situation is causing him.
yep.
Damn. What do you think, Steve and Nancy getting together? I think they have to end up because it kind of ended on like a
Yeah,
lukewarm note between Jonathan and Nancy, and anyone
yeah,
who's been in a relationship that's kind of dying in slow motion, not
yeah.
necessarily a unique thing, a kind of a universal, can probably relate to that, and they both know it's over, but they
They
don't have
both
the
know it's over.
stones to each kind of
Right.
cough it up and say it.
So I think they do end up together. They just I think like you said, like they're kind of just like it's like one of those things where it's gonna be pronounced but unpronounced. But I think they have to now. I'm at that point with them. Like they have to end up together now.
Yeah, because I mean, Steve's growth maybe grown more than anyone
Yeah.
in the cast.
He's terrific, man. He's been terrific. For me, he's been top 5 these past 2 seasons. He's been top 5. He's taken a huge step forward in his character arc. I think he's someone that matters a lot, you know. And I think that in general, he's officially looked at as a leader now. Like they look at him and they're like, dude,
Yeah.
what should we do next type stuff.
I love when Robin's like, how many children are you friends with?
Yeah. She's had some good one-liners. Like when she was like, Vecna's like 11, but he's evil and like he's like evil and he has bad skin type stuff. Like she said really good one-liners.
I think I was gonna say what plot line is more believable? Being in an upside down hellscape or escaping from a Soviet prison in 1986?
Dude, it's gotta be the upside down hellscape.
Like before we even get into like the creatures that end up being in the prison, just outrageous. I mean, really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Jacques Hagar from Game of Thrones.
Great
Little role he got for himself there.
That was a great, he got himself hooked up. I think, you know what though? I think it was believable just because Hopper wasn't. It wasn't.
Hopper is just that like put the team on his back. Like he kind of went like full Rambo, right?
Yo,
in 80s action movie.
Too. Have you seen the videos of him working out? He trained for that.
I mean, he like they're showing him with his shirt off. He wasn't like he's like, oh, I lost a lot of weight, dude. You're not like rail thin. You're cut now, dude. It's not. You're not like emaciated or anything like that. You're just cut.
You're not. Yeah, you're not Christian Bell. Well, like
The Machinist. That was insane.
Yeah, that was
an insane movie, dude. Like, he did that back to back with Batman Begins.
With Batman Begins,
yeah. So he was like putting on 40 pounds of muscle and then losing 100 pounds. Insane.
And then he had to do it again for the Dark Knight. Remember after the
he's going back and forth. Yeah. Now he's in the Thor movie that comes out tomorrow. Yeah, it looks good.
For the God Butcher.
Yeah.
Did you get your
Yeah, we're going tomorrow afternoon. 3:45 showing. Should be nice. Haven't seen a Friday afternoon movie in a minute. Gore the God Butcher. Great character. A new age character got introduced in 2012 in the Marvel comics. You see a lot of the characters that, Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel getting introduced within the last decade, already becoming big figures in multimedia properties. Kind of shout out to all those creators, even though they're probably not getting compensated fairly for their creations because it's, you work for Marvel, DC, it's work for hire, and those gigantic companies own the characters. But a lot of great work being put into building this universe outside of just the characters that were created, 70 years ago or whatever it is.
What are you anticipating from the God Butcher? Like, from what you read and what you've seen, like, what's going to be?
I think he's going to have a long history with Thor that we were unaware of. Like they've squared off in the past.
Yeah.
And Thor thinks he was dead or something like that.
Yeah. Because I saw in the preview, they were talking about telling the story. I do feel like that's the arc they're going for too, is that we're going to find out eventually that him and Thor have a long history.
I just worry they're jumping it up and there's too much going on at once is my concern. And it's only It's a shade under 2 hours. I'm not someone who wants a movie to be 3 hours, but I thought that with the Doctor Strange movie, another movie that was just about 2 hours, just too much at once. It's backfiring. And I talked about it on Twitter a little bit the other day, and I'm still super excited. I still think there's a chance the movie just, wows me too, but a little, pessimistic given that I was a little lukewarm on Doctor Strange. And I think the success of Infinity War and No Way Home with throwing a million characters at once worked, but those were both 3-hour movies, and you're now doing it. You're cutting the movie in a third of the movie out, trying to do it now.
Like I hope this doesn't. Hoping this doesn't, or I feel like this might lean more toward a Ragnarok, where like there's a ton going on, and it's like super bright and super
zany and
rainbowy. I thought Ragnarok was super cool.
We rewatched the Thor movies, and last night we did Infinity War. We're watching like the Avengers and Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy movies, since they're all going to be featured in this. And like tonight we'll watch Endgame, and that's like the last we've seen of Thor before this.
Before this,
Got some Kat Dennings in there. We need.
Yeah. I love. I thought Thor was great in Endgame. I also think that. I think that was for me also the first time I've seen him kind of vulnerable.
So
I think that was cool.
It's hard to do with a character who's been in, speculative fiction for thousands of years, like 1,000 years, I guess.
Right, and like, I think that it was. This is weird, but I didn't I think it took me until Infinity Wars to realize just how much power he wielded, like as opposed to the other Avengers. Like I feel like when he came back with Stormbreaker, that like they were all like, oh thank God. The relief on our faces was like, all right, now we might actually win this thing. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like Cat or Black Panther or any rest of them. It was like, dude, like, if we don't have Thor, like if we don't have our center, we're done. I think that it was cool to see, because he's always been my favorite MCU character. So I think it's been really cool to see just what kind of art he's been given, and like I think this will be really cool. I think that people should expect, like I said, more of a Ragnarok-y type zany.
I think it's going to be like a little messy, but I'm someone who really likes kind of, it sounds weird, like messy art, whether it's music or television shows or movies, when like you're trying a million things and maybe they don't all execute, but you're shooting for the stars. I really like that. Like I think of the album I always think of is Life of Pablo by Kanye. The album that was trying way too much, but like it's probably the Kanye album I've listened to most in my life at the same time.
Yeah, I still listen to Life of Pablo, and it works. I like Life of Pablo. So that's a great way to put it. It's like if you enjoy the artist,
like White Album by the Beatles, just throwing 1,000 things at once out. So we'll see.
People are like, look, we're just gonna try this. Let us know what you think. I love that.
Yeah. All right. I'll be having, for the listeners out there, I will have a review of Thor Love and Thunder. Should be out Saturday on phillyvoice.com. So you can check out that there. I'll be writing it Friday night post movie. Should be entertaining.
Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah. Anything else, bro? Newsletter, plug it.
Newsletter, RiceToRickySanchez.com/newsletter. We go out every Thursday.
Former host, Shamus Clancy.
Yeah. We have our this week we did our kind of.
That was awesome that you guys got him.
Yeah, that was great. Shout out to him. Very super nice guy.
Seems it.
Basketball Paul last week, another really cool guy, a guy who we really want to root for. And again, BB is he's terrific, very awesome guy. So there's a couple more special guests they have in the works. And then next thing you know, dude, we're in training camp. I mean, it's already July. We only have another month and a half before training camp starts. So it's a 24/7 news cycle with the league, like we just talked about. So, but yeah, man, RiceRickySanchez.com/newsletter. We're out every week. Some good stuff coming.
Going from me as the guest / co-host to B-Ball Paul and Brett Brown is a really rough look for me. like the local band that gets thrown on the bill as like the opener when like everyone is just sitting there like drinking a beer and like scrolling on their phone. That was me.
Yeah, it's like, yo, like you're first, and then we're gonna follow you up with Nas. Like, all right, cool.
yeah. They just got like some battle rapper from North Philly to open up for Nas at the TLA or something like that.
Thanks, Philly. Y'all been great.
Yeah. All right, that's it from me. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Shamus_Clancy. You can follow Zo on our Twitter, tweets_by_Zo. If you're listening to this, I'm sure you already follow us on there, but got to plug it. And as I said, I'm the deputy sports editor of PhillyVoice.com, putting tons of content out there. Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, everything in between. Some pop culture stuff, too. I think I'll be doing a review of Miss Marvel once the series finishes next Wednesday. So be on the lookout for that. I'm always kind of being the odd sports stadium food and pop culture, nerd culture correspondent, too. So check out my work there. All right. Talk to you.
All right, brother.
Talk to you.